My name is Sean Gallagher, and I am the head of Co-Curricular and Sport here at DLD College London. I think the purpose of today, as John explained, is for me to give you an overview of what's on offer here outside of the classroom. Getting involved with activities outside the classroom is a huge part of what we want students to do here at DLD. And so I hope that some of these things will be of interest to you. And if we're fortunate enough for you to join us in September, you'll be able to get involved in many of these activities. So if we move on to the first slide. So what's on offer? Here, I've just broken it into a couple of different sections. So we have our creative arts and performing arts, sports, and then we move all the way through to our academic clinics. I know lots of you will be trying to achieve as high marks as possible at your time at DLD. If you do so, join us. And so these academic clinics are really, really important, especially if you are looking at subjects like politics and the sciences and maths. We have maths challenges that we take part in regularly, and we have science Olympiads. We also have a MedSoc medical society, which is obviously run by our science department. And we have guest speakers who will come in from the working world and come and speak to that MedSoc group. And it's really, really beneficial for those students who are interested in a career in medicine. So the clubs and societies. We do offer a range of clubs and societies here at DLD. Here I've just given you a flavor of some of the things that are on offer. As you can see, things like debating and current affairs are going to be hugely beneficial to those of you who want to be able to speak publicly, who are going to want to maybe go on to subjects like politics, if you end up at university, and as well things like MUN. So MUN, for those of you who don't know, will be your Model United Nations. Last year we competed at Haileybury School at an MUN conference there. It was the first time for our students going off to that conference, and it was hugely beneficial to them. They got a lot out of the experience, and they are hungry to get back and be part of more conferences at different schools. We also have things like debating in French. So again, that's just adding to your regular subject. Obviously, debating in French isn't going to be for those of you who don't take the subject, especially at A level. But again, it supplements your learning because you can do stuff outside of your curriculum. So the teacher has to teach you, the curriculum within the classroom, but outside of that, you can actually have a little bit more fun and be a bit more flexible. And our head of French was able to do that with our debating in French. And it definitely helped improve some of our A-level students' grades last year to really flex their muscles in that subject. The Bigger Picture Society, so that will be an invitation-only society, and that is for our Alpha Scholars. Our Alpha Scholar program is run by Shoaib Ali, who I believe will also be doing a webinar. And he is an assistant principal of partnerships here at the college. And as I said, he is the Alpha Scholar coordinator. So he will work with the Alpha Scholars and he will really get them to really hone in on their skills and really flex their muscles with regards to their academic learning. And they will do different projects throughout the year. Certificate in Financial Studies. So a really, really practical club to be a part of, because that is an official certificate that you will receive. It's the first time we've run this year, and our lovely business teachers, Celestine and Fumi, they ran that together, and we had a mix of year 11 students and then our year 12s taking part in that. and it was really good to see them all complete that certificate. And some of our Year 11s used the certificate towards their Duke of Edinburgh Award sections, and I'll move into Duke of Edinburgh later on in the presentation. And again, just to finish off there, we have engineering, which may be very interesting to some of you, and kind of learning about robotics. We have a club for that, and chess. So chess was set up by 2 of our students. So it was a student-led club, and it started in one of our common areas of the school. And it really took off because it started off as a very small group, but because it was in a common area, people were walking past, both students and staff, and they saw that this was taking place, and it really kind of generated interest to the point where a new member of staff who only joined us, I believe, in January, Stanislav, he came in and he asked me, would he be able to run this as a more official club and enter competitions? And of course, I was very, very pleased to hear him say that, because he was only new, but he wanted to jump straight in. And a lot of our teachers will be running these co-curricular activities. So again, it's more time with your teachers, but also maybe more time with teachers that don't teach you. And that allows for the teachers to learn as many students as possible, or get to know, as many students as possible. But also as a student, you get to know as many teachers. And sometimes teachers can be very helpful, even if they're not your subject teacher, to help with your studies and to help you develop at DLD. So that has now become more of an official club, the chess club. Stanislav is now teaching our students how to improve. He's a very high level chess player, and I'm looking forward to see how the chess club develops over time. Unfortunately, we couldn't enter any competitions due to COVID-19. We were due to enter a huge one in the summer. In the summer term, but unfortunately that hasn't happened, but we hope to join some more next year. So I really look forward to that. Obviously you can see sometimes a picture paints 1,000 words, and I've tried to put as many pictures into this presentation as possible to give you a flavor of what's on offer. And you can see here we have our gym, which we have access to either through a membership. So you can sign up. There is a fee for that, and that is paid to Urban Nest, who run our building and their student accommodation, which is where the gym sits in their basement. There's also a swimming pool there, a small swimming pool. But I also have the opportunity to book the facility almost as often as I like. So we will run strength and conditioning sessions in there at least once a week. Also boxing sessions. We've had dance and yoga in the studio. And as you can see there, that is Jacob, one of our ex-footballers. And that was in a strength and conditioning workout. You can see our purpose-built music studio there at the bottom, and some InDesign, that's a Photoshop skills co-curricular activity in the top photo there. Hopefully you guys can see all of the images. So obviously I want to sell co-curricular to as many students as possible. So how do I do that? Well, I need to get you guys to understand the benefits of getting involved in the co-curricular program, or the CCA program as we call it for short. So what are the benefits? Well, communication skills are hugely important. A lot of you may be international students coming in, and there's always going to be an opportunity to improve your English when you are conversing with multiple different groups. But again, even for our domestic students, who I know we have plenty in this webinar, it's so key to have good communication skills right through your life. You know, when you go off to university, but then when you go into the working world, people write books on it all the time. They have chats about it. There are talks about it. Communication skills are so vital. I cannot stress that enough. And when you're on the football pitch, or when you're on the basketball court, or when you're debating, you have to have these communication skills. They're so important. Making friends outside of your peer group, I've put in there as a huge benefit. For those of you who will be boarding, you're going to be spending a lot of time within the building, so you have to try and make that a home from home. And the easiest way to do that is by making friends. So if you are in boarding and you finish at 5 o'clock, and then you make a schedule for yourself where you have yoga, or you go to the gym, or you go to football training at least once a week, that gives structure to your boarding life, and also gives you an opportunity, as I said, to meet different people. DLD has around 500 students, or just below that. That is not a huge amount in a school. And so it is really easy to make friends, but you do have to make that first step. And you do have to try and engage with different groups of people. And when you're thrown into a situation like a drama rehearsal, or a band club rehearsal, that makes making new friends so much easier. It's really about trying to find your tribe. And when we speak about tribes, that's finding a group of people that you feel comfortable with totally. And once you have that tribe, and once you have that purpose, school life becomes so much more enjoyable and so much more easier, because you're studying the subjects you want to study. You're doing the activities outside of the classroom you want to do with the people you want to do them with. So I cannot stress how important that is. Just to run through some others, obviously stretching yourself academically. So you can see from the clubs and societies there that these are really going to help with your academic subjects, as we spoke about politics or economics or maths or the sciences. But there are also clinics. So part of the co-curricular program will be to offer clinics within subjects. So we will have that across the board, and they will take place maybe at least once a week. Sometimes they could be at lunchtime. More than likely they would be after school. Even outside of the clinics, teachers are always open to you knocking on their door. Obviously, if they're not busy, they may say for you to come back at a later stage. But they're always there to kind of help you with your studies. Teachers want students who are thirsty for knowledge, who want to improve, and who want to get the best grades. So again, being involved in those clinics has really paid off for some of our students. And then, yeah, as I've said, just embedding yourself into the DLD community, it couldn't be more important. And being involved in co-curricular activities is an easy step in feeling part of the community. It's a very, very friendly environment. I was really impressed when I joined DLD to find how friendly it was, and to see how many different groups of students all interact with each other. There's less a situation where you have the lower school and the upper school very separate. It definitely merges into one, almost one huge year group. And again, the CCAs help with that, because we don't limit certain activities to the lower school or to the upper school with year 12s and 13s. And as you can see there, that picture was taken last year, and that was our 2018-19 football team, which was very successful. We won 2 league titles. We played some big schools and managed to get some good results against them. And in the background there, that is where we train once a week at Archbishop's Park. That facility is only 2 years old. It's fantastic, really well floodlit. The surface is immaculate. As you can see, it's large. It's about 9 a side. For those footballers out there, you probably know what size that is. And just in the background behind, there's also a tennis court, a netball court, which we utilize as well. And that is literally a 1-minute walk away from the school, which is very handy. I'd love to have it more regularly, but there is a lot of competition for bookings with lots of businesses and other schools in the area. So how would you sign up to these CCAs? where we introduced a CCA fair. And this is an opportunity for teachers to showcase what they can offer you, as well as maybe some students showcasing what they can offer if they are doing a student-led CCA, like I mentioned earlier, which is how chess came about through two students who are part of the student council. We do that in the second week of term, just to allow, especially the boarders, time to kind of bed in, but of course our domestic students as well, trying to figure out how to get in and commute and how long it's going to take them. These are all things that you have to think about in the early stages of starting a new school year, as well as your timetable, you know, and classrooms to go to. So we tend to try and do the CCA fair in the second week, once everyone's settled down. And then we get off the ground running and get you guys into your activities. Of course, you know, sometimes there is a first come, first serve approach to the CCAs, but there are enough of them with over 30 to accommodate, you know, all of our students within the school. And if there's not, for any instance, my door is always open to come and have a discussion or a chat about what you might want to do. We're very keen for students to come to us with ideas as to other co-curricular activities that can take place, and I always encourage that. Not everything can always be put on from a practical point of view, but we certainly try our best. And it's a simple case of just using a QR code on each different poster that brings you straight into a form, and then you put your name down and show your interest. And then you receive an email from me a couple of days later saying that you've been successful in gaining a place on that activity. Of course, things like the sports teams, they will be team trial based. So there'll be trials that take place at the beginning of the term to see what talent we have on offer. So a huge part of the co-curricular program is to allow students to be as creative as possible. As you can see in the photos there, we have, that was a DJ night, and that took place after a 6-week DJ course, which was run by an external music teacher, an external DJ who came in and works in the professional music industry. Our students really loved that. It is one that you have to dedicate yourself to, and you do have to do some work outside of the 6 weeks, outside of each lesson. You have to go away and put some practice in. But it was amazing to see some of our students actually perform. So one performed in our CCA fair. They put on background music as all the students went around and signed up. And the picture there was from a DJ night, which took place in boarding. And that was a lot of fun. As you can see there, we had all of our disco lights, and it felt like a real professional gig. And down in the bottom of the screen, you can see some of our students recording some music, recording some vocals, and that takes place in our music studio, as I think I mentioned earlier. So we really want students to be creative. You can do that with our whole school events. So we have award ceremonies, we have end of year awards and ceremonies, our autumn term and spring term events, our Christmas concert, our talent shows. I was a judge on our talent show back in autumn, and that was very fun for me. And it's really great to see our students really express themselves. It's a huge part of DLD. And when you walk around the building, you'll see students are able to express themselves in everything that they do. And we think that's really important. So sports, hopefully some of you were waiting for me to have a little discussion about sport. We don't have a huge amount of teams in each of the sports that we play, just due to the amount of students that we have to select from. However, we do have a football team, a basketball team, and a netball team. And these schools, the schools that we play are of a very high caliber. We're playing some of the best schools in London. We're not necessarily playing their first teams or their A teams, but we're definitely playing, their seconds or thirds in most cases. And this is an excellent opportunity for students to go off and see some fantastic facilities, you know, and play on some amazing, you know, sports fields and grounds. If you take Dulwich College, for instance, it's an excellent opportunity to go there. It's a very, very old school, 400 years old, I believe. So it's a real change of environment for DLD students who are in a you know, a 21st century, very modern building. We have excellent local external facilities. You can see again the gym that we have access to, and the football pitch that we have access to, as well as local sports centres, and all of those are at a very high standard. The middle photo there is some of the success that we had at the British School Championships in skiing, which took place last term. And you can see the 4 boys there. Really exciting to see those guys medal in the first time that we've actually gone off to that competition. So that was really impressive, and the boys had a fantastic time, and we hope to continue entering that competition. Basketball as well has been something that has taken a while to get together in terms of being in a league, but we're now in a very strong league, playing some of the best schools in London. It's highly organized. We've got to meet a lot of different schools in the last 2 terms this year, and compete at a very high level. We also had some success in the cup, in the under-18s cup, reaching the semi-finals. But unfortunately, again, you know, I'm sure a lot of us will be saying this throughout, but mentioning COVID-19 and the impact that had on us. So unfortunately, we haven't managed to play that semi-finals, but hopefully we will do maybe next term. Some of you will be interested in the fact that we do have high quality sports where whether it be training or match kit, we always do look good when we go off to play these other schools in high quality kit. It's something that I take pride in, and we always want to make sure that we look as best as we can when we go off and represent the school. So that is provided by Serious Stuff, and you can always check out their website and see a lot of the other top schools in London using this supplier. So a massive part of the co-curricular program is the Duke of Edinburgh Award. So we are actually an approved centre, and that is because our DOV manager, Charlie Pennell, who is also our head of special educational needs, he has been involved in Duke of Edinburgh for around 7 years, I believe. He's highly experienced. He's gone on multiple expeditions. He loves to go off climbing and hiking in his own time as well. And he brings his dog along. So if any of you do like dogs, then you'll get to meet Ali on some of these hikes, which is really fun. For those of you who aren't very familiar with Duke of Edinburgh, I'm sure our domestic students are and have probably taken part in maybe even a bronze already, which would be amazing for us because we can move you on to silver and gold. But there's 4 sections, and you have to spend a couple of months, even maybe 3 to 6 months, taking part in volunteering, physical skills, and then the expedition. And that is why the co-curricular activities are so important, because it get these sections signed off and use them for your awards. Again, as you can see there, highly recommended for students that want to challenge themselves, get themselves out of their comfort zone, and really helps to work towards leadership skills and leadership roles within the school, i.e. student council. So many of our students who will go for interviews for the student council will have had Duke of Edinburgh experience, and you know, our senior leadership team really do find it impressive when students have completed their different sections and their awards. And again, I listened to Daniel Woodley's webinar with regards to UK and UK university destinations and UCAS. And it really is important to understand that the Duke of Edinburgh Award is a real rubber stamp to show that you have been engaged within your time at school and that you have pushed yourself and taken yourself out of that comfort zone. And UK universities, US universities, they will be impressed by this It is a small section on your personal statement. I'm not going to lie to you and say it's the be all and end all of your personal statement. It will only be a small section, but to be able to write a bronze or silver or gold award on your Duke of Edinburgh on your UCAS personal statement is really, really beneficial and a really nice touch to show that you are a well-rounded individual, which is what we want for all of our students at DLD. And as you can see there in the photos, we have some fun pictures of our students on their expedition, and they had a great time and they've done a really, really good job. So charity events. Charity is a big part of what I do at the school. I've been involved in multiple different events. Our main charities, though, are the Movember charity. So if you have a look through our website or our social media, you'll probably find a picture of me wearing a moustache, mainly around November time, because this is why the charity is called Movember. You wear a moustache throughout the whole month of November. And in the football pictures you can see there, that is a staff-student game, which is how we raise our money for Movember, along with quizzes. And if you're able to kind of to really have a hard look, you'll see a lot of the staff wearing their moustaches. We always raise a good amount of money. We get lots of students from the DLD community and staff coming along to watch. It's very competitive, but well-spirited. And as you can see, we do that as an annual event. The photos are from different years, and we continue to do that each year, and it's really, really fun. And then Evelina Children's Hospital, which is just across the road to us, attached to St. Thomas's Hospital. And you can see there we've had bake sales, and we've had charity runs that we've done in the spring term. They're 2 ex-students in the top left-hand corner, and they really had a good time there. We always have a good turnout for our charity runs, and again, that is a student and staff event. And then AAA charity in the middle, which is run by Gareth Evans, who is our head of lower school and an English teacher, film studies teacher. And you can see that photo in the middle where they helped out at a charity there. It's a really, really important part of what we do at DLD, and it does align with one of our core values of kindness. It's really important. A lot of us are very privileged, students and staff, and to be able to give back is a really, really important thing. And again, for your own development, when you're going off to universities and you're having interviews and applying for different unis, they really do like to see what kind of a person you are. And someone who gives back is always going to be someone that a university will look on, with great regard. So it's not just me running all of these CCAs, as I'm sure you can imagine. I need a lot of help, and that comes from some of these members of staff here. These are probably the core members of staff. Obviously, they will have staff members within their departments who will run activities or clinics in all of the different subjects. But these are the people that you'd want to go to if you have any queries in the different kind of subjects. So you have obviously our head of creative arts and music in Peter, and for our art and photography, Ed, and the list goes on. I want to talk a little bit about the mentoring program that Jess Elliott runs. So if you are a year 12 student, you have the opportunity to mentor a lower school student, someone who's in maybe year 9, 10 or 11. And that can be from a social point of view to just help them maybe come out of their shell a little bit more and maybe have someone to talk about anything that they may be struggling with or any challenges they may be facing, but also from an academic point of view. So if we have some high achieving academic mentors, they can help a student in their strongest subjects, whether that be maths or English or science, etc. And that's been a fantastic program that's been really, really successful. And from the mentors' point of view, they were offered mental health first aid training to help them deal with their mentees. And again, a huge leadership opportunity to develop the mentor. I've spoke about Charlie, who is our Duke of Edinburgh manager, always super helpful, and really does work hard to get as many students through the bronze, silvers and gold awards as possible. And Shoaib Ali, also mentioned earlier, who is Alpha Scholars coordinator. So I think I've been talking now for quite a while, just about half an hour now. So hopefully you are still with me and you're still engaged. I just want to say a massive thank you for listening. I'm just leaving you with some of these images here so you can see our netball team, our football team, basketball team, and then we've done rowing in the past, our boxing, and again, our creative subjects with art. In the top right hand corner there. My email address is there, so please do feel free to email me if you do have any other questions that maybe you don't want to ask on the webinar, or maybe just throughout the summer you may have some questions leading up to coming to DLD, hopefully. And thank you very much. And that is it from me.
Thank you, Sean. I think that was great, a really great overview of everything that DLD offers and the amazing kind of experiences that are available to students. There were a few questions which came through during the presentation, which I was just wondering if it's okay for me to sort of put to you just for response.
Oh, brilliant. Yes, please do.
Excellent. I'll go through them. The first one from Josh, I think you covered this, but we'll just go over it again. He just asked how often is football training, I guess, on a weekly basis.
Yeah, so I think I've actually met Josh. So hello, Josh. I believe I have met him. I hope I'm not making that up. Yeah, training is once a week at the moment, just due to the bookings we have externally. But we have just built a small sports pitch within the college. So I was going to add a photo of that, but it's just not fully finished yet. So I thought it'd be better to wait for the end product on that. And it will just be a small cage that will have goals in it. And that will just be another opportunity for students at lunchtime to just work on their game or just have a kickabout. And I think that will supplement us having the one training session a week. We do play in an 8-a-side league, which is, again, once a week. So training on a Monday, 8-a-side league fixtures on a Tuesday. Strength and conditioning training will happen at some point during that week as well. And then obviously we will have, Saturday morning fixtures or Wednesday afternoon fixtures throughout the year, but they're not weekly. They'll be at certain points within the year.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sean. Just a question that sort of followed up from that as well, asking about football, but also basketball. Who actually trains the students? Do we hire coaches, or is that capacity from within the school?
Yeah, so I run the football team, and I've had over 10 years experience of coaching, and I've worked at Chelsea before coming over to DLD, I continue to try and improve as a coach, continue to learn, and really passionate about the sport of football, and I love working with teams. We just actually had a quiz, a virtual quiz and online award ceremony last night, which had 12 of our students in it who are in all different countries all over the world. And that was really fantastic for me to see. And that kind of togetherness is what the co-curricular program is all about. And it was really nice for them to have some kind words to say about me, but for me to obviously give those guys the awards who were very deserving this year, and to have an opportunity to say goodbye to them, because a lot of them are year 13s, and I won't be seeing them again, unfortunately. But I run the football team. We have dedicated members of staff who run the basketball team. They are DLD staff members, but they work on a part-time basis, so they just come in to run our different sports activities, which I think is a massive benefit. A lot of the schools who have a huge amount of teams to run, and maybe a bigger school with more students, will tend to have teachers running their football or their basketball. And although that can be fantastic, sometimes they can't always give it the dedication it needs because they're a full-time maths teacher or geography teacher, for example. So our sports coaches are dedicated to coming in and providing high-level sessions.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sean. Just another question on training, specifically related to skiing. Obviously, you talked about the ski team. Valentina has just asked how do they train? Obviously, as there's not much snow, certainly in London.
Yeah. Oh, she mustn't have seen the big mountains we have on just by Westminster Bridge. No, no. We actually, impressively enough, we didn't actually train for the event. Some of the students were very high level, and that's what we would be looking for. We would be looking for high level students who, you know, have been skiing since a young child and very apt on the slopes. And we were very fortunate that our students were at that level. So they went out there, and I believe they had 2 or 3 days practice days, just getting used to the slopes and getting back to feeling feeling normal on their skis, and then they went off and they won loads of races. So yes, very difficult for us to have that as a regular practicing CCA. What we would probably do next year is maybe go off to somewhere like Hemel Hempstead, which is an indoor facility, or there's another place in Chiswick called Duke Meadows, and they also have an indoor facility for skiing. It's obviously not the same as being on the mountain, but yes, we would need someone of a very high caliber to take part in any of our competitions.
Great. I was going to say, I would imagine there probably are dry ski slopes in the local area, so that's great that students have that option if they're, you know, sort of keen skiers, to be able to go and keep training in the local area. Just one question from Ijeoma asked: are all CCAs free, or is there a charge?
So all of our CCAs are free. They come within your, you know, within your fees. There can be very small occasions where we may offer something, potentially, we've not done it, but potentially something like horse riding, where there may be a fee, just because it is quite an expensive activity to run. But pretty much 99% of any of the activities that they take part in would be included within their fees.
Excellent, that's great. And just one final question that I can see on here was relating to music lessons, talking about specifically progressing in the grades, and would we be able to support students in that? And also, how do we help students if they want to learn a new instrument or maybe learn for the first time? Do we have lessons specifically for them?
Yeah, so we definitely have lessons. When we talk about 99% of activities being free, the music lessons would be kind of the 1% that would have to be paid for. But we do have teachers who come in on a regular basis and work with multiple students for one-to-one lessons. We have a grand piano, and then we also have another piano in the practice room. And it's really nice, actually, to when I go down to our basement where our theatre is, to see students practicing piano, for instance, with their teacher. And I know one of my tutees within my personal tutor group has been doing some online lessons separate to DLD, but back home during lockdown. But that's because she was taking part in lessons within the school term when we were in school before lockdown. So yes, there are opportunities for music lessons, and Peter Hopkins, who I mentioned there in one of my slides, is a key member of staff for Co-Curricular. He would be the best person to speak to regarding that.
Great. And actually, Peter is running a music sample lesson on Friday as well. So we can send a link to that if you want to find out a bit more about music and how that works in general. Just one final question that just came through. Valentina was asking about dancing and if we can help arrange it. But I suppose this sort of feeds into a question that I get asked quite a lot. If a student has a particular passion for something that's maybe not on the co-curricular program at the moment? Can we support students to continue that passion in the local area?
100%. Yeah. I mean, my door is always open to help students in that way. So dance, we have actually run as a co-curricular activity, but we have run a kind of a more general hip hop style dance. And some students, when they speak about dance, they're talking more about maybe ballet and more classical trained dance, which we don't currently offer. But we are on the doorstep of so much in London, which is a huge benefit to our students. So I'm always happy to search around, to look for clubs, to look for companies such as Dance Works, for instance, or Pineapple Studios, which are two of the best dance studios in London. Of course, then when you're doing stuff outside of DLD, there would be a cost associated to that. But if it is your passion and it's definitely something you want to continue, then I guess that's something that you'll just have to factor in. But I'm always willing to help in that regard. Just take a seat in my office, sit down, have a chat. What are you interested in, and how can I make it happen? If it's not something that can be part of the co-curricular program, we still want students to do what they're passionate about. And so I'm really keen to help students in that way.
Brilliant. And I think as well, you know, one of the things is if you are looking to apply to the college, as part of the application process, you can kind of ask that question. And that helps as well, because it enables Sean and his team to kind of identify if there's a particular need that we can supply for students, because we're always quite keen to facilitate, if you have a passion that we don't currently offer, to see if we can do something to help with that as well. So I think always, as you're applying, do let people know what you're interested in, and we can see if we can help you continue that while you're studying. One final question, I think, before we go offline. Valentine's just asked, when do the co-curricular activities actually happen? Is it after school, at weekends? Is there a particular set time for it?
Yeah, very good question. And it was something I could have put in the slide, but I thought that it would come up as a question anyway. So I just thought it may be easier to just answer it in the Q&As. So I'm glad that has come up. So the DLD timetable is a very full-on one. So there are lunchtime clubs or clinics that will take place within maybe a 30 to 40 minute period to allow you to, also maybe grab some lunch. But that is a small window. And that is mainly for some of our more academic kind of clinics and stuff, where students really do need to continue to get that learning in, even throughout a school day outside of their lessons. But we also have things like ukulele club, which would take place at lunchtime as well, and the chess clubs, as I've said. But then the bulk of the activities will take place after school. So they'd be post 5 o'clock. So if you're a domestic student, you do need to kind of factor in your week and, understand that if I'm at football training, I may not be finished until 6:30 on a Monday. And if I'm involved in fixtures on a Tuesday, I may not be back at college until maybe 8 o'clock. So if you have lessons from 9, that can be a lot of effort and a lot of commitment. But if you're only thinking about it maybe once a week, then there's definitely enough time to kind of factor that in. And it's a huge life skill to learn how to schedule your time and time manage. And some of our most successful students will be very, very busy outside of the classroom, but they'll also get their grades because they're excellent in time management. And I know our teachers are really impressed with those students who are able to kind of juggle all of their commitments. So yeah, majority after school, Valentina, and some things that happen at lunchtimes. And then if you're a boarder, for instance, there would be things like trips and activities within boarding on weekends, and the occasional fixture maybe on a Saturday morning in line with the traditional sports fixture timetable.